The point you guys make about having no production crew, big respect, because I feel like think about how many people have talked about starting a podcast. I feel like that is like the thing, or was the thing through COVID. No. Everyone seemed to think they have interesting enough conversations to start a podcast, but you guys figured it out. You started. You know?
By the way, that's actually going to be in the video. Ryan, thank you for starting us off.
That's amazing.
That was a perfect intro.
A little pat on the back.
Yeah, Ryan glazing us a little bit.
There you go, a little bit.
But anyway, welcome everybody to Dangerously Athletic Pod. Obviously, things look a little bit different today because it's not just me and this guy, Chris. We have a new face with us, Mr. Ryan Douglas. And obviously, Ryan is not here for no reason. Ryan is the Canadian Hyrox Champion, time of 59:23. And he's also run a sub 3 hour marathon. Wow. And is going to be running in Boston in a couple months. So everybody on the other side of the screen, put your hands together. I know we can't hear you. We definitely can't hear you. But still, clap, because welcome, Mr. Ryan Douglas. Ryan, how you feeling today, man?
A little stiff, but we'll loosen up. Yeah. We're in a new space. I'm a creature of habit. This is definitely off the beaten path for me, but no, I appreciate you guys having me in here, and I'm excited to chat all things Hyrox and being a little bit unconventional with how I go about doing things on the day-to-day, but excited to chat.
I gotta throw something in right away. Yeah, this is Marcus's coach.
Yeah, yes.
Right? Yes. So he's gonna coach Marcus to get a sub one hour.
Well, I can be honest with myself. A sub 1 hour for me is not happening.
Hey, before we continue, you had to eliminate that mindset before you ran a sub 1 hour, right? The mindset of doubting yourself.
Bro, I'm gonna speak.
That's
on right
doubting
now,
yourself, man.
Actually, I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump into things too early. But like Ryan, when you hit that sub 1 hour at Hyrox, it was funny. I tell him all the time. Like I was there, and like I was listening to him finish, and because there's literally an announcer that.
I think we were racing at the same time, were we not? Or did you start a little while after me?
No, you started before me.
Okay.
So I think you were in the first heat.
Yeah.
I might have been in the second. So right when I was hitting, it wouldn't have been the wall balls. What's just before the wall balls? Is it lunges? I can't remember for sure. But this would have been when I was at like my 6th or my 7th station. I could hear the announcer talking, and he's saying, "Listen, guys, this is gonna be a Canadian record. Oh, he's almost there. There's 5 left. There's 4 left. Ryan Douglas." I could hear all of this while I'm doing my race. But like at the time, obviously we didn't know each other, but we're going to jump the gun a little bit and like tell us, did you anticipate getting a time like that? Was it just, a fuck it moment? You went, just got it done?
Yeah, I think a lot of people went into Hyrox, or even still are like kind of introducing themselves to the sport with 60 minutes as kind of like that time goal.
Yeah.
I know a few people who've set out a 60-minute time goal, been pretty far from it. It seems kind of like that 3 hour target for the marathon.
Yeah.
But as much as Hyrox is kind of just taking off, I feel like I had a bit of a head start on the aerobic development piece. Mm-hmm. And then a background in strength training definitely set me up to have like the 2 main ingredients you need to succeed in Hyrox, being the aerobic development and then having a pretty robust strength base. And then as soon as Toronto got announced, locked it down, was supposed to race with my girlfriend, and then ended up throwing down. But to get back to your question, I knew it was, I thought it was in the cards, and then you get to race day and the announcers and like the professional feel of the thing was incredible, right? Yeah. Like same as you on the mic, they're talking about potentially going sub 60. I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to be real. Yeah. We'll see what's up.
Yeah. The environment, like it's
next level.
It's next level, bro. It's like nothing I've ever experienced, and not even just when you're racing, but even just spectating. Because I don't know how long you stayed after your race, but when I was in Mexico, obviously I did my race. I had some friends who were going after me as well. And just like the excitement of watching people go and seeing all these people do all these different like workouts, and then the running, and then you hear the announcers, and then there's all this music, and then there's sponsors over here, there's this event going over there, bro. It's like a big party of people who just love fitness. But Okay. Anyway, we're definitely jumping the gun a little bit, and
You
that's definitely my fault. That is definitely my fault.
Let me ask him a question.
Yeah,
first.
go ahead.
You said that you had a little background prior to getting into it. What was it?
Yeah, so I played baseball for just under 20 years, I guess, starting at like 4 years old, and then played up through university. I played at Laurier. The majority of the guys that I played with through high school ended up playing in the States. A few guys I played with play in the big leagues now, so it was like pretty competitive baseball.
Good for you, man.
And then obviously became a pretty average Joe towards the time of being in university, but through COVID was lifting pretty heavy, was just kind of looking for an outlet post baseball to get into lifting a little bit more structured. And then the running piece kind of developed over the last few years too. So that's kind of like the path to this moment, I guess, athletically.
Yeah. Controversial topic. I don't think baseball players are athletic at all.
This guy did better than you, though.
Right? No, he's different.
He's so good, you hired him as a coach. You hired him as a coach.
He makes a good point.
Ryan is
come
different.
on, man.
Take any baseball player. I will let you pick. Obviously not any, because then you probably filter out for the most athletic ones. But take an average baseball player, or even top 5%.
You're going on a tangent, bro.
Even
Even
top 5%.
football's like that.
Even top 5%.
We try to prove.
It's definitely a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's such a power-based sport, right? Like to run at top speed for 4 seconds is kind of what you're doing in baseball. If you're playing in the outfield, you're sprinting for 5 seconds. Got some high-end athleticism for sure, but you could definitely get away with being a bit of a slob in the MLB. That's for sure.
There's some milk bags in the MLB,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, but
They're powerful.
They hit,
Yeah.
or they're great at being the catcher.
Okay. But anyway, like you said, we're definitely going off topic. But I want to go into some of your accolades, because like even though like I know you and I have a personal relationship, there's people out there who don't. So I'm gonna go over some of Ryan's accomplishments. And honestly, if some of these are outdated, you can go ahead and let me know. So marathon, we have 2:44:25. Hyrox, obviously 59:23.
Sorry, what was the 2:40? That's the time?
Yeah, 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 25 seconds. I think that's how, I don't know what that pace is per kilometer, but I believe
353?
353.
Wow.
353 per kilometer, which is friggin' fast. 5K, 16:20. Did you try beating that like recently?
No, that was in the summer.
Okay. So
Yeah.
5K, 16:20. And then you also did your own ultra marathon, which was called Horseshoe for the Homeless.
Yeah, that's right.
Niagara to Toronto. So before we get into all the other stuff, like talk about that. What inspired you to even go on a journey of running 100 kilometers, excluding altruism? Like, well, not altruism. Is that the word? Yeah, it is altruism.
Yeah, I guess that was almost 3 years ago this spring. But I remember at the beginning of COVID being very, I don't know, there was a lot of time, right? We had a lot of time on our hands. I remember not using that time to the best use, or putting that time to the best use for those first few months. I think for the first few weeks of COVID, I was like completely dry, didn't drink at all, was just kind of like staying on my shit. Was like, you know what, I'm gonna put my head down and do some work, like in the gym specifically. Ended up, drinking, having too much fun with friends through COVID, and then with that kind of had in the back of my head this voice that was like, you gotta do something productive here. So I always wanted to get into running, but like a lot of people, I think I just got pulled into the trap of like trying to run fast every time I went out. I remember one day I like loaded up my backpack pretending it was a hydration vest you see on ultra runners. And I just fucking booked it down a trail near my parents' house and was like thinking that's what trail running looked like. A couple months passed, ended up getting into running more consistently. But I think one of the true like inspirations for that event itself, beyond just, wanting to challenge myself, was seeing homelessness in action in Kitchener-Waterloo. I went to Laurier, a ton of homelessness in Kitchener specifically.
Sorry, is Kitchener-Waterloo where you're from, or just where you went to school?
That's where I went to university.
Okay, where are you from, Ryan?
Georgetown.
Yeah.
So
Right up the street from us, right?
I'm very interested. Continue, please.
But ended up kind of picking that as my cause just because of how frequently I was seeing that on my day-to-day. I was running a lot through Kitchener as my runs got longer, and I ran from Waterloo to Kitchener. Anyway, my grandparents and a lot of my family is actually out in Vineland, which is just before St. Catharines, if you're going down the QEW, I believe, to the Buffalo border.
Okay.
And I just did a quick Google Maps, and it turned out to be right around 100K. So I figured if I can do 50K, surely I could do 100K.
Yeah.
So ended up plotting it out exactly to around the block from my grandparents. So had them there, had some friends who drove in a truck the whole day and made that day happen. And yeah, I had some people tell me afterwards, like, you truly have the best friends ever to spend 14 hours in a pickup truck, driving like 5 kilometers ahead, waiting, checking in, setting up camp to kind of like debrief and keep the day going.
That's awesome.
And it's so true.
That's
Definitely.
awesome,
Yeah.
How did that day go? Was it just maintaining like a consistent speed for 100 kilometers? Was it run, stop,
That's a
fuel
good
up,
question.
drink some water, let your feet rest, maybe change your socks, run again?
Yeah, every 20K we'd planned out to stop. So we had those exact like plazas and stuff marked out ahead of time. So that was the main thing. I expected to change shoes, change socks. In retrospect, I really wish I had, because my feet were pretty gruesome after that. I've learned some lessons since. But yeah, it was pretty straightforward. We didn't do anything too crazy. Just obviously start out a little bit more conservative than you would on a normal run.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it was an adventure for sure.
That's really impressive.
Bro,
That's
super
so impressive.
Bro, a lot of people can't even run 2 kilometers. This guy did 50 times.
You run at all?
No.
No. Do you have any desire to run?
No,
And
honestly, I do, bro. Yo, right now I would run around the block, man. If you told me the 100K, bro, I could run 20 meters. I do like running though, but I like sprinting.
Yeah.
I like sprinting. But fighting, man, is a lot of high intensity cardio, so I guess I'm just acquainted to that. But like long distance running, I don't know.
Is endurance running and like running for time at a low intensity something that is kind of like phased out of MMA? I know there's some guys
they do
like
that. No, they still do that. 100% they do that. For me, like I wasn't at that level. I'll be honest.
Yeah. You got to build a strong like aerobic base, right?
Yeah,
That's something that you preach to me a lot. Personally, I think running at zone 2 I think that's the hardest thing to do. Run at zone 2 is
Zone
basic.
2? Why?
Yeah, because that's basically like a brisk walk. Like running at zone 2 is not.
What is zone 2?
Zone 2 is your aerobic zone. So there's 5 zones. Zone 5 is when you're basically running at max capacity. Zone 2 is like just above.
And it has to do with your breathing.
Yeah, zones are, there's a couple different ways that people define zones. Some people use like a 3-zone system. Other people use 5. 5 is definitely the most common.
Is that what you use?
I've kind of like changed my theory at times. I've used the 7-zone system to just be like even more specific to the exact like intensity that I'm targeting with my running and with workouts.
So sorry, how do you gauge that? Your heart rate?
It's generally by heart rate.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these wearables, like I know Marcus wears an Apple Watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a Garmin.
Yeah.
I've had this thing for a few years. They're not overly reliable from your wrist, but it's heart rate based.
Yeah, something's better than nothing.
Right.
Honestly, working out with him's made me want to wear my Apple Watch more, and then track my heart rate, VO2 max, all that stuff. Like, it's new concept to me, but I like it personally. And I'm gonna start running, man. Yo, hearing this, then you met the guy who owns the studio from a run, like all of that.
I also want to mention Lex is not here, but right now we're shooting out of Studio Homme. That's French, HOMME, Studio Homme in downtown Toronto.
Yes,
Shout out to my boy Lex, who's in the other room. It's actually pretty ironic because the reason why I found out about this place and why I know Lex is because of running. The reason why I know Ryan is because of running. So
You meet him at a race or what?
No, I actually met him. I met him at a run club down the street from here. This was in the summer. We both just went, linked up. Like
that means I gotta start running. This
Bro.
is two great connections that you made of like-minded individuals from running. And our conversation here was surround yourself with people that are like-minded. It's so crucial.
Yeah, Ken, and this is actually a good segue because there is something that I do want to ask you. So I want to clarify. Actually, I'll let you explain. What do you have planned for 2025? What's in the books for you? We're not in the books. We're in the future.
Yeah, the spring's pretty packed. I've, for the first time, kind of treated a season of the year almost like a competitive season. In the past, I would pick like a fall marathon or a spring race, something like that to kind of center everything around. Whereas this spring, starting with Hyrox Houston, which is actually next weekend, flying out here shortly. I feel like every day is they feel long because right now I'm just ready to throw down.
Yeah.
5 weeks later, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. And then I think 8 or 9 weeks after that is the Hyrox World Championships in Chicago.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
busy few months, but yeah, that's what's in
You got
the
a pro
plans.
athlete, eh? What can we expect from you though? Like, let's set out a goal. What's going to be your time in the World Championship?
No, one step at a time. Let's talk about Houston,
Houston, okay.
and then Boston, and then I guess we can go into
You're a
the
systematic guy.
Yeah.
You got to kind of like zoom out on the whole spring as a whole. If I tried to peak for this first race, the rest isn't going to go very well. You can only hold peak fitness for so long. So I think the goal with Houston, touch pro weight for the first time. Anyone new to Hyrox, there is open weight, which just means you're pushing heavier sleds, pulling heavier sleds, lunging, wall balls. It's all with a little bit less weight in open than in pro, right?
Okay.
So Toronto went well at the lighter weight. Now we jump up and we play in the deep end with the big boys.
What's
Yeah.
the weight differences?
I can't remember.
The biggest difference will be in the sleds.
Yeah, okay.
So I think sled it's about 100-pound difference.
I think it's two. It's either one plate, which is 55 kg there.
55 pounds.
I thought it was
55
kg.
Bro, you know how heavy that'd
pounds?
be?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tweaking.
That's
Sorry,
100
it is pounds.
pounds.
Yeah,
It is
55
pounds. It is
pounds.
pounds. It is pounds. It's 25 kg.
Yeah, there you go.
It's 25 kg.
What about the wall balls? What do you
Wall
do for
balls
that?
is 6 kg for the open.
6 pound.
And then, no, it's 6 kg. for
And
the
then
open,
9
and
kg
then 9
for
kg
pro.
About
Yeah.
like,
which is about 20 pounds.
20 pounds versus 14 pounds.
beautiful.
So the biggest differences are going to be on the sleds, just because when you're running, right, before and after, like that's going to beat you up a little bit. Anyway, the goal for Houston, I think, is just to gain familiarity. I'm going to be happy if I race there and my running paces stay consistent throughout the run, just meaning like I didn't gas out too early. I didn't sell myself before I hitting the sleds, for example, and then completely gas out. Realistically, I mean, we'll let the action talk before I get run in my mouth, but I see a path to run under an hour. But again, everyone kind of wants to say that that's possible. I think I'd be pretty content, pretty close to that hour mark. And then for World Championships, would love to be under an hour and in the mix for the podium, really. But we'll see.
And World Championships is also at pro weight, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much did you weigh in Toronto in October, and how much do you weigh right now?
Toronto, I want to say I went into that race at like 180 pounds.
What height?
5'11".
5'11".
Yeah. And then right now, I'm a little bit lighter. So I actually plan to gain some weight. Before Christmas and right after Christmas was doing a ton of strength training, and I think my weight was like low 180s. And then since then, just being deep in marathon prep as well, with Boston Marathon 5 weeks after Houston, that's taken the priority. So to give you some perspective, like Chicago is the A race for the spring. That's
Absolutely.
the number one priority. B is Boston, and then C is Houston. So have had to put a lot of priority on the running side of things, getting a little bit leaner by just running more, putting the strength on the back burner. But we'll gain some size for the big dance in June.
I love that.
Where do you feel like you need to improve most in order to get an equivalent or a better time in pro than you did in open?
Well, I think with Hyrox, the one thing that gets discounted too often is the impact of the running, right? Like the people who do really well in Hyrox have a strong aerobic base. They have a background in running. Because if you think about it, if you run an hour finishing time, 30 minutes of that roughly is running, whereas the rest is like any one specific domain. If you spend all your time focusing on squat strength to do really well with wall balls and get really strong to push the sled, the impact that that's going to have on your total time is so marginal in comparison to becoming a faster runner, right? For you, if you cut 15 seconds off of your marathon pace, which is right around like your Hyrox pace, and you multiply that by all 8 runs, that's 2 minutes there that you're saving.
Absolutely.
Whereas it's almost impossible to save 2 minutes on another station.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, the focus for this prep and through this winter has just been running a lot, but also running more at threshold, which is kind of like right around or right above my Hyrox pace. Okay. So the pace that I ran in Toronto, I can run that now a lot more comfortably for a longer period of time. And I think that's going to allow me to save some time to ultimately have to expend myself a little bit more on the stations just because they're a heavier weight at the pro weight. So running, top priority. The second is just going to be strength, right? I think top end strength is going to be important for the sleds.
What's top end strength?
Just like being able to push
That's a good question.
more weight. Like in the past, my back squat got up to 475 in 2019, like
Nice.
just in
That's more than
university. At one point squatted 315 for 21 reps. Like
Wow.
it had crazy strength and strength endurance, whereas now I think 315 I'm probably pushing for like 4 or 5 reps max.
Yeah.
Right? So trying to add that strength back. I know you interact with Jack Driscoll's stuff a little bit on social, but crazy strength. And today I actually realized he's only like $170 as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he would be significantly bigger.
I thought he was at least 200 pounds.
He
How tall
must
is
be
he,
pretty
though?
short. He must be pretty short.
Yeah, he must be.
Yeah.
But I bring him up because he's going to be racing in Houston, and
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a good benchmark
You're
of
gonna
like,
beat him.
Nick
We'll
Bear.
see.
Nick Bear as well.
He's hurt.
And then he's here in Toronto?
he's hurt.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That would have been quite the experience just because I know the BPN team shows out in numbers and
Absolutely.
they got quite the media crew.
What's
but
that,
I feel like
We'll
they'll still
see.
be Bear
Are you familiar with Nick Bear?
I know Nick Bear because he made me sub to him, but I don't know like
Yeah.
what he does. I know he does. Obviously, he probably does Hyrox. I think he's CrossFit, right?
No.
Hybrid.
Yeah.
Hybrid.
A lot of marathons, ultras, some Hyrox stuff, but he was supposed to race. I'm
Oh.
sure that pulled in some people who have signed up.
Oh, definitely.
We'll see.
Because he has
Definitely.
notoriety, right?
I think
Yeah.
Houston is going to be one of the major Hyrox locations in this continent. Houston, Miami's going to be big as well, but I think
yeah.
Miami's going to be more for like pop culture. People who just want to do it.
Mhm.
A lot of volume. New York is going to be huge too. Shout out New York, which I will be going
New
to.
York
in
will
May.
be big, yeah.
And then after
Barcelona, bro, we gotta go there.
that, but Europe. I'm talking about like in
here,
North
yeah.
America. Like those are definitely the major locations. Europe is a completely like
I
different.
bet it'd be dope.
monster.
You're running
Yeah.
through like the streets of like.
Well, it's all
Wherever.
indoor.
Yeah, yeah,
Aw, man,
yeah.
but tell me,
yeah.
tell me what would be dope though to run around Barcelona and they have stations
Yeah,
outside.
get chased by bulls.
I saw it. They just
Oh.
had a race. Holy shit!
What do you mean?
It's an adventure.
Don't they
race.
do that in Spain?
Nah.
Yeah,
I
they
have
do.
to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
treated.
The bulls down the.
Thank you.
the
It's
street.
Spain.
Yeah.
It's
I
thank you.
thought
They
It's
that
like
do
a
do that in
culture
Spain.
thing,
bro.
traditional.
Yeah.
I thought those.
But no, they have done some outdoor stuff. I saw they just did a race in Auckland, New Zealand, where like the running course is outside and then you come back inside to do the stations. But
That's awesome.
are you're racing New York?
Yeah.
Why do you pick the fucking dumbest races to go to?
Why is that a dumb
you
race?
go race at altitude, and
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast, and they're breaking down all the top Hyrox times from a weekend. I think there were a few races in Europe.
Yeah.
All these crazy times. Couple people touching like 55 minutes. They're a different breed over there. They've been doing it for a few years longer, but they get into the times from Guadalajara, and they're like top 3 men. Alberto Sanchez, 107 as the
Yeah,
best time because the
yeah.
altitude is insane,
Altitude is definitely insane. That's why.
right? And then New York too is going to be hot as hell.
No, I'm going. I race May 30th. My birthday is May 31st. I race May 30th. Bro, it's not gonna be hot as hell there, and it's at what Pier 76. So that one will partially be outside.
That'd be sick.
That
It's
one will
completely
partially be-
outside.
It's completely outside.
It's completely
that one will
outside.
be completely outside. But at least for New York, like I think the prep time for me is perfect. I'm 2 months and 3 weeks away from that race.
That's crazy how close that is at this point.
Yeah, it's super close, but 2 months.
I
and
know
3 weeks.
that's kind of counteractive to your point, right? You're
Right.
saying you got time for it, right? Is that your point?
No, I have time, and also it is a major race. I did want to pick a race that was in a pretty big city. That's going to be not just a good, exercise, but also a vibe as well. And like in New York, I'm going to be running basically at sea level. The only thing that could have been better would be like Miami. Miami's like
No, you're at sea level in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to feel no impact of elevation in Miami. But the thing is, it's outside. Last year, they didn't have anything to cover the course.
Ooh.
So it was about like the humidity.
Yeah.
It was hot. And that's going to impact like your heart rate right from the jump. But
Absolutely.
they're covering it up this year.
Okay,
So that'll
that's-
help.
Which one
That's
do
a
you
good
think's
sign.
the easiest?
Easiest. like location?
Most like ideal.
Anywhere where you're not feeling humidity. I think like Texas is a weird one because it could be like
That's
20.
what I'm saying. You're gonna be running in friggin' Houston next week.
Out of Hyrox, which's more important in your opinion, the strength element or the running?
The running.
I'm saying running, but
Yeah.
aerobic, one of the
Aerobic.
two, whatever.
What's the difference between aerobic and anaerobic? If you can answer that, Coach Ryan.
Yeah, so aerobic running, any aerobic exercise is dependent on your body's ability to bring in oxygen, right? And fuel your muscles and movement with oxygen, right? That's the sole energy source. Anaerobic is when you can't replace the oxygen that your body is using and expending as quickly. You can't replace it as quickly as it's being used, so you have to then rely on like glucose and like your muscle stores. Again, I don't have a very scientific background. Anyway, it's high intensity. Anaerobic is very high intensity. And you're spending more oxygen than you can replace.
What would be an example of aerobic? What would be an example of anaerobic?
Jog sprint, right?
Yeah, pretty simple. Keep it
Weight
simple.
training, marathon.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna keep pushing a little bit. Tell us about your training split right now.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a similar split, I feel like, to what I did in the lead up to Toronto. Looking back at Strava, those 6 weeks that I spent training in the lead up to Toronto was like 8 hours a week. I think I was running about 50 kilometers total, lifting twice, and then doing 2 Hyrox days. The main difference right now being in like a marathon prep simultaneously is just running more. So instead of running 50K and just like maintaining aerobic running fitness, worked up to 100K last week for running. And then over the last few weeks, average mileage has been, right around 100K. Like I've been running way more.
That's insane.
So through the week, 6 runs, 3 lifts. 1 is a lower body day, 1 is an upper body day, and then the third is like a full body dynamic effort day, just so it's less destructive. Just because if you have too much intensity, like I find lifts when I'm lifting at a really high intensity, they take time to recover from. Right. I can't run very hard for a day after, maybe even 2 days, and do an intense running session if my legs are beat up. So keep that third day like dynamic, kind of do what I need to do, and then 2 Hyrox specific days. So
I have to ask though, what's the diet like?
The diet.
Yeah. What's the diet like?
I asked him this question when we first met too. I'm curious what your answer is now.
It's pretty clean.
Really?
Yeah.
About, like, how many calories you eat a day?
I don't track it. I haven't tracked calories for a long time. I think honestly just know that I'm training enough to constitute, like, if I'm hungry, eat what you need to eat.
I need to ask though, are you having pizza tonight?
Tonight I'm having pizza. Yeah. We got a long run tomorrow.
Where are you getting the pizza, bro?
I don't know. That's what I was saying. Best pizza in the city. What do you think?
Bro, I don't know. I'm from Brampton, bro.
Okay, we're not talking to the right guys.
You're not talking to the right guys.
That's his favorite.
Bro, no, Pizza Hut.
But
Pizza
continue
Hut,
though, with
Pizza
the
Hut.
diet though, like if you had to give us a generalization, how many calories do you eat in a day?
It's probably pretty close to like 3,000, 3,200. It could definitely be more, but the whole pizza thing, like I said, my weight's a little bit down just with like the running mileage lately, and I know I don't want to.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about diet. Obviously, Hyrox and marathons are your thing, but what's the difference in preparing for either one? And also, if you could build, this was Chris's question. I'm actually gonna let Chris ask this question. Do you know what question I'm gonna?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Answer that first. Don't overcomplicate.
First question. What is the difference in preparing for a Hyrox and preparing for a marathon? And then Chris has a follow-up question that he's going to ask you.
Yeah, I think if you think of your week and the energy that you spend in a week on training as like your phone battery, right? You got 100 energy points to spend through a week. If you're in marathon prep, you're doing a little bit of strength training is just like complementary to the running, right? To stay durable late in a marathon. But for the most part, you're not trying to add strength. You definitely don't need to add like maximal strength. So a lot of the energy that you're spending through the week can be devoted to running, right? And the more you run, so long as you're staying healthy, the more, like the faster you're going to be, right? There is a positive correlation between mileage run in a marathon prep
Yeah.
and the time that you run.
Yeah.
Right. So that's that. And then on the Hyrox side, like obviously you have to account for building raw strength, right? Just top end strength, strength endurance, right? Being able to hold strength and repeat movements for 2 to 4 minutes, depending on the station, and then run as much as you can while accounting for that strength that you need to kind of make it through a Hyrox race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, perfect. Bro, it's funny because I remember you told me that like you don't really peak in your running until you're like what 35. Like it's a long game.
Mhm.
You know, you just stack up the mileage, and then next thing you know, you become really, really good at it.
Is that flow state real? Like when you're running, like they call it runner's
Like a runner's high, yeah,
Is
like
that
runner's
true?
high.
Is that a real thing?
I think
It's
so.
definitely like meditative. Like if you run enough, it's like a practice skill, and it's kind of like driving, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're the first time you're ever driving a car, like you're stressed out, you have to be hyper aware. Whereas if you've run every day for 2 years, like you're gonna have runs where you're running at that right effort that doesn't even take too much like thought, you know?
So you're like in flow state, like you're running, but you're thinking.
It gets romanticized for sure. It's not a runner's high.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
experience that though.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that. It'd be cool to get my own opinion on.
But go ahead, ask the.
Dude, honestly, can't remember. It's like I remember it's like if you could build the ultimate Hyrox athletes, what parts would you build?
Yeah, like if you could pick 3
Qualities.
and I want these qualities to be pretty specific, like really strong core, amazing endurance, can hold like 4
So is
minutes
it
per
physical
kilometer.
capabilities then? Because I was also
we'll
thinking
do
a little bit of
qualitative
mindset
too. Mindset as well. We'll
Give
do
me one
qualitative as well.
mindset, two physical.
I guess the first would just be like realism, in the sense that you need to understand like what you're capable of and what your best race is, right? If you go in there and you're like, I'm gonna run a 59-minute race, and then you run a 115, right, or a 120, like you clearly are just out of touch with what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I've done well in every race I've ever run is just like having such a tightly fine-tuned prep to understand where my limit is for pacing, where my limit is mentally, working through the mental difficulty of like a tough moment in a training session to be able to like know exactly where that line is that I can't cross on race day. So just like knowing yourself, knowing your pace, knowing how you execute.
I like that.
And physical qualities, so
Yeah, what are two?
physical capabilities too.
I mean, obviously,
For the ideal, like perfect Hyrox athlete, I'm talking like Hunter McIntyre type.
yeah, like half marathon speed, right? Like that is the most relevant speed and pace to Hyrox is like half marathon pace.
Okay.
The guys who are killing it in Hyrox are those who are running a pace very similar to their half marathon.
Okay.
So just a huge aerobic base, a really strong engine. Hunter McIntyre talks about building an engine and the ultimate engine all the time.
Engine building, man.
So that's it, right? Just like pure running, and aerobic strength, anaerobic strength. And then I think the third would just be, I think like what has made Hunter so great is the fact that he's as big as he is with the engine he has.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's guys who get into the Elite 15 and start to kind of crack their way into the elite part of the sport who can run like the wind, but they're not as strong, right? In order to be that fast, they have to sacrifice the size and the strength.
Absolutely.
Whereas he's what, like 205 probably?
How tall is he? I have no idea how tall he is. But
He's
if
pretty tall.
205,
He's
that's-
pretty tall.
That's around
Probably 6'1".
my weight, but he's definitely significantly leaner than me. So probably like 6'6", maybe 6'1", maybe no taller.
You're
maybe
5'9",
6'2".
right?
Bro, don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect me. I'm not 5'9".
You're
I'm
5'9".
5'10".
You're 5'9".
I'm like
He's 5'9" and a half,
5'10".
bro.
I'm like 5'10".
Okay, wait.
and a
We have
quarter.
some rapid fire questions.
All right, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's ask him.
Before we do that, this would be like a new thing that we do, I guess. We're gonna bang out 10 quick questions that he has to answer. It's gonna be yes or no, this or that, or I
Or
agree,
just
I
straight
disagree.
answer. And you don't have time to think. First thing top of mind. All right? Chris, you
All
want to
right.
go first? You want me to
Yeah,
go
I'll
first?
bang out my first 5 here.
No, don't go. We'll alternate. You go, then I go. You go, then I go.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Who's your fitness icon / role model?
Nick Bear,
Nick Bear. Okay.
All right. Hyrox or marathon?
marathon.
TikTok.
What?
No, like TikTok. Like, go. You gotta answer quickly.
Bro, what the
You gotta
heck?
answer quickly.
Gym with music or only elevator music?
What was the first one?
Gym with no music or only elevator music?
gym with no music.
Oh.
Training alone or training with a partner?
Training alone.
Only eat carbs for the rest of your life, or only eat protein?
Only eat protein.
Train legs in the gym or never? Sorry, train legs every day or never do legs again?
Train legs every day.
Okay. Only legs. Sorry, only legs every day.
Train only legs.
All right, perfect.
Ultimate meal prep service or ultimate gym access?
Unlimited.
Unlimited, sorry. Unlimited meal prep service or unlimited gym access?
Unlimited meal prep service.
Drink raw eggs or dry scoop protein powder?
Dry scoop protein powder.
So you're gonna choke.
Fuck salmonella.
Run a marathon in flip-flops or do burpees for 4 kilometers?
Ooh.
That was
Marathon
my favorite.
in flip-flops.
That was my favorite question, by the way.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Last one. Yes or no? Should you look for love in the gym?
No, we're there to do work.
Yeah. Bing, 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 bing,
Ding, 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 ding. Shout out Lex in the back. He's finally here now, guys. He's finally here. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap things up right here. Ryan, bro, always a pleasure seeing you. Always a pleasure
Thank you,
talking
fellas.
to you, bro.
I'm going to start running now.
Chris is gonna start running.
We'll
now.
be back. We'll
We
unpack
will be
some of
back.
this and hopefully with a new Hyrox PR. We'll see. Even at the pro weight, we'll see. But
Bro.
we'll let the act speak for itself.
That's
Absolutely.
it.
So, Houston next week, which is going to be March 16th,
15th.
March 15th. Boston Marathon 8 weeks later, and then we have Hyrox World Championships, which is, tell people the date for that.
I believe June 14th.
June 14th.
It'll be on YouTube, right?
They might
We'll
stream- they
see.
might
It's
stream
age
that
group.
one.
I'm hoping they're getting crazy at like how they're.
They will,
they're
they
showing
will,
this
brother.
stuff,
If they, I'll be honest, they'd be dumb not to.
Are you running with your age group, or are you just gonna?
Yeah, at Worlds they break it down by age group, and then
Okay.
obviously the Elite 15, like they have their own race.
Mhm.
But we'll just keep chopping down time and
You'll
see
be
where
in
we
the
get.
Elite 15 soon enough.
I want to mention I actually got 4th in my age group in Guadalajara. I was so
Yeah.
mad because I was so close to that top 3, but we'll see what happens in New York.
It's all right. Next time you do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Chris, you wanna close this out?
Subscribe.
Yeah,
Hit the share button.
yeah,
Comment down below.
yeah.
Saying shout out for the Boston Marathon, 'cause that's big time.
That's big
That's
time.
big time.
Very, very big time.
We'll have to have a new PB to talk about here soon.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
244. We're looking to beat 244.
And
You
we'll
guys
be
can-
breaking
Well,
that.
Ah!
We're breaking that.
2:30.
I like that.
Soft.
Dude, Elliot Kipchoge time. We're looking at sub 2 hours. Sub 2 hours, bro. His name is Elliot, right? Elliot Kipchoge? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his name. All right, but subscribe.
Hit the like button. Comment down below.
Cheers,
Hit
guys.
the share button.
Post
Post
notifications.
bell.
All right, guys. Each one is 5 grams of protein, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 grams of protein. Get your protein intake in and don't be whack. Ryan, thank you for showing up.
Cheers,
and
guys.
until next time, we are going to check in. When are we going to check in? We're going to check in after Houston, or you want to check in after Worlds?
After Houston.
After
the story
Houston.
going.
Let's keep this going, man. All right, guys. Chris,
Stay dangerous.
stay dangerous. We'll see you guys later.
Well, evade. They stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like